Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast is now on YouTube. Go on YouTube and search Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast and click that subscribe button to never miss an episode. Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts, Wrestling Chris G, and on the other line with me is the fiery one of the bunch. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, man, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
That's good, man. That's good. So we just finished last week's episode. We're about to do this week's episode. How are you feeling tonight, Doug? How are you doing?
Still fine.
You're still fine.
Still fine.
He's like, let's just no talking. We're almost there. I see the finish line. Let's go. But all right. This week's episode is called The Battle Club and Tepig's Choice, or translated from Japanese, Battle Club, a mysterious Pokemon appears. You know, I'm going to go with the Japanese one this week.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm just going to pass on it the whole way through, because, like, it feels like they're like, oh, these are two good names for this episode, but obviously they round into one idea.
Yeah.
So we're just going to throw them both on there.
So this week's episode revolves around the third of the starter Pokemon. We had Snivy with Trip.
Well, but did we really get into Snivy though?
Well, he beat Pikachu's ass.
Yeah, that's true.
And he is Trip's Pokemon.
But my counter to that is there is a Snivy specific episode coming up.
Yes, there is. And that is a couple episodes away. So, yeah, we will get that. But I'm surprised they didn't do the whole bing, 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 the Tepig, Oshawott, and Snivy all together like they did, like as we're reviewing in the Kanto region. We got those back to back to back.
And, you know, the way you started kind of reading out titles before we got on to record, it sounded like that was going to happen. Just based on the way some of your files were laid out. But we took a look, and this episode and Snivy are separated by like three episodes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this week's episode revolves around Tepig. This episode actually premiered October 7th of 2010 in Japan. Here in the States, it premiered February 26th of 2011. And of course, we're going to go with the US date. And Doug, mine's going to trip you out. I mean, if you didn't already know it. But I am going first this week, everybody. Woohoo! Take a shot. Take a shot for me. So mine happened in 1975, Doug. And on this date, on the Today Show, can you believe that the Today Show was dated back even prior to 1975? But on CBS, they aired a live kidney transplant on live TV. I mean, I'm sure they didn't get all gruesome and stuff on there, but they did a kidney transplant on live TV in 1975. Wow.
Getting all up in there. You're just trying to have your Cheerios.
I know, for real. Just trying that or your Fruity Pebbles. I bought some Fruity Pebbles and ate it for the first time in like 5 or 6 years.
And probably tastes like shit.
No, it was good.
Don't you lie to me.
Okay. I do like me some Fruity Pebbles.
I'll bet you do.
Shut up. But it's like after the milk hits the Fruity Pebbles, after like 2 minutes, it becomes soggy. Like
that's not a good cereal.
No, it's not. So it's just, but it's like that with all, like with Cocoa Pebbles and Fruity Pebbles. But
at least with Cocoa Pebbles, at least the fucking milk changes.
Well, it changes with this too.
Well, but it's not as appetizing as chocolate.
It becomes like strawberry milk.
Does it though?
For the most part, I like to think of it that way, Doug, as I'm eating.
I like to think of it. That's translation for quit poking. I hadn't really thought that far ahead.
I do think of it that way, and that's the way that Jordan thinks of it. So that's the way that we're gonna leave it. But yeah, they did a live kidney transplant on the Today Show, so something worth remembering, I guess, on this day. So Doug, yours happened more recent on this date. What happened on yours?
Yeah, that's the benefit of being towards the end of the end of February. You've got a couple landmarkish things that are happening. You got early to mid Feb, you got the Super Bowl, and then end of February, at least up until this past year, because for obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons, Doug.
Well,
is it that obvious?
It should be. But this is traditionally around the time when you have the Academy Awards, and the 89th Academy Awards were on this day in 2017, so that would be February 26th. And these awards are noteworthy because of the big old flub that was made on live TV at the end of the show. As everybody's up there and Faye Dunaway and for goodness sakes, I'll hit his name as we're like mid-episode. Old dude's up there presenting the freaking the Best Picture award. His story is that backstage he was handed the wrong envelope.
Oh, okay. So we're about to have a moment. Okay.
So he was handed the Best Actress envelope, which was Emma Stone that year, and she won for her role in La La Land.
Oh, so I remember this when it happened. Okay.
So dude sees sees Emma Stone's name and says, "Well, that can't be it because this is for Best Picture." So I'll just read what film she won for. So he reads La La Land. So everybody for La La Land comes up and they're shaking hands and they're hugging and handing out statues. And dude comes back around and says, Moonlight won this award. This is not our award. This is Moonlight. And everybody said, "Oh, he's just being humanitarian. He's saying, our film didn't deserve this. It should have been to Moon." And he's like, "No, honesty." And he holds up the the proper envelope, which I haven't seen the footage of somebody coming out with the proper envelope, but it probably is out there, and I just haven't looked close enough because he's got the Moonlight envelope.
Oh, okay.
So then we have this awkward moment where all the La La Land people are on stage. So all the La La Land people basically greet the Moonlight people, and so they're shaking hands and handing over awards. And I'm gonna find that guy, Warren Beatty. God damn it!
There you go.
That was gonna bug the fuck out of me. So
I can tell.
So yeah, so Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway are kind of standing there because, dude, he wasn't up there to do it. He was up there to read a name, and he read it. And he called an audible because he saw a single name and didn't see a film. And he said, "Well, this," and he went on talk shows like the next week, and he basically told the story that I told. And because he was trying to get the heat off of him, boy.
I'm sure the heat was on him hard, but it's not his fault.
No, he was handed an envelope before he went on stage and said, "You read the name." And he said, "Okay." And so, and it was funny because like I was watching the show, but I was also kind of scrolling Twitter just kind of at the same time, just for shits, because certain people be funny. And La La Land gets announced to be the winner, and people are like, "Oh, boo, hiss, boo, it should have gone to Moonlight, it should have gone to Moonlight." And then you're watching in real time as we go, "Oh shit, wait a minute, what just happened?" We get and it was crazy. And the show goes off the air, and there's like 50 people on stage and shit. And that's all everybody was talking about for like a week and a half. And poor Warren Beatty got called an old fool. And
yeah, it's not his fault.
No, not in the slightest.
It's the fault of the person that gave him the envelope. And I'm sure they probably lost their job that night. Like, listen, I was just reading a card.
Yeah, they handed me a card, said read it. I said, okay. I said, is the check cleared? They said, yeah. They said, bet.
So, all right. Well, that's a nice historic moment, Doug.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So, all right. Well, are you ready, Doug, to get on into this week's episode?
Definitely.
I think you're more ready than any of us.
We had a good clip in the first episode. Let's see if we can keep it up.
Yeah, for real. All right. So let's go ahead and start this week's episode. We have clear blue skies, Doug. Clear blue skies.
Clear blue skies, an open field, and a city at the bottom of the hill.
Yes. So, and Ash thinks that he is now in Stryton City.
The site of the first Unova region gym.
Yes. And he gets shut down immediately by Iris that they are not in Stryton City.
And she
just walks by.
She just walks by. She doesn't break stride. She doesn't look at him. She doesn't open her eyes even.
She's like, you're such a kid. This is not Stryton City. Stryton City is the next town over. And what town does she say is?
This is Accumula Town.
Accumula Town. Okay.
So Ash is sitting there. He's just been kicked in the nuts, and because he was all G'd up for a battle.
Yes.
And that's when Iris is actually helpful for once. Well, I shouldn't say for once. It's been 4 episodes, but still, prove me wrong.
She brings up Ash's spirits and says that he can still have a Pokemon battle in this town, but he has to go over to the Battle Club.
And Ash is like, "Oh, we didn't have those in Kanto."
No. And she calls him a kid again, and then they just wander off into this Battle Club area.
And I just,
Why does she have to tear him down like Ash gets torn down by Misty?
I don't know. It's starting to grate on me. I think it was starting to grate on you in the last episode, but she's like, because Ash is like, oh, what's a battle club? Which, fair point, might be self-explanatory, but she doesn't have to say, oh, you're such a kid. Like you just established last episode that he's new to the region.
Yeah, he's brand new, so just give him a break.
Shut it. Come up with a new insult at least.
Exactly. Like how old we need to find out how old she is. I think that was one of our pieces of homework for this week, and I think we both struck out there.
I don't remember being assigned homework.
Doug's like that was you, Chris. That wasn't me. I don't know.
I wasn't CC'd on that email.
So, all right. But we get into this battle club and she goes over, let's see. Each trainer enters their Pokemon's profile, and it looks like in each computer, each trainer submits 2 Pokemon, which is perfect for Ash because Ash has Pikachu and Oshawott.
He's got a Pidove. The disrespect.
I didn't see Pidove not once in that last episode.
He's got one.
I know he does, but he didn't use that something. He didn't send Pidove out to go and talk some sense into those other Pidove last week. Like, oh, girl, you can fly. Go. I don't know why I turned
Pigeon, cause.
I turned into a crow over here. The stuff that people didn't hear at the end of last
I was going to say, you're not having a good stretch here,
for a funny note, I took it out of last week's episode, but at the end of last week's episode, I tried to do an oink, but like an actual oink, and didn't come out sounding like an oink at the end of that episode when I was saying, oh, the whole episode is about Tepig. And then I was like, oink, but it didn't sound like that. Doug's over here just going, what the fuck was that?
That certainly was not an oink. And I can say that with a high amount of confidence.
Oh, so, all right. But Doug, I'll hand it over to you after they go over the 2 Pokemon, or well, one of these trainers only has 1 Pokemon. So after they register their Pokemon. So
they register their Pokemon, and then we get our lovely theme song,
which you love.
I love it. It's a toe tapper. It's a bop. I have it on my Spotify. It's the shiznit.
Put that on repeat, everybody. Just
you gotta. And so they walk into the battle arena, and we're about to start a battle between the evolved forms of Oshawott and Snivy, Servile and Duat.
Oh, look at you.
I was ready. So I was like, one of us has to have it.
Hey, you took those names down. Good job.
No, that's live finding on the air. That's
like, don't give me too much credit.
Yeah, don't give me too much credit now. These headphones still got to fit. So I didn't get the impression that these were the third and final evolutions. I got the impression that these were middle evolutions.
Yes, they are. Well, I think so.
I mean, just kind of looking at them.
Yeah.
Duat has some kind of derivative of 2, so.
Well, I can do this. So, yeah, it has 2 shells on it. But I don't think that that's the determining factor. I'm going to go ahead and talk about this battle real quick. I will clarify whether these are second form or not. And I believe they are. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're both second form. Yes.
So, Servile launches the first attack with Leaf Blade, and Duat is using Water Gun, and this is not your daddy's water gun.
No, it's a fucking strong ass water gun, and fucking Snivy got hit and is down.
Servile,
sorry.
Dr. Juniper.
Dr. Juniper, yes. And then the owner of I'm going to call it a fight club. Can we call it?
I would say, I mean, obviously it's not as like nefarious as a fight club, but yeah, I mean, freaking Iris called it a battle club. So, I mean.
So, I mean, we have the right to call it that. So.
Yeah, I would say so.
But he comes up and introduces himself to Ash and Iris and says that this battle club takes care of all Pokemon trainers' battles needs. And basically, I mean, it's a free place to come in and practice without feeling bad that you lost or that being happy that you won. It's a great training ground is basically what he's saying.
Absolutely.
Which, I mean, why didn't we have this in our games growing up? I mean, I know we had the random battles, but there was, I don't remember, unless you can correct me, Doug, I don't remember being able to go to a specific building and just battle random trainers at any given time.
Well, no, I think you basically answered your own question with the random encounter stuff. I mean, I wouldn't have minded a battle club because at a certain point I just started spamming the Elite Four to level up my Pokemon.
Yeah, so, well, you want to know what they did? What they do now, Doug? After you defeat the Pokemon League, you can go back and rebattle the same trainers that you've battled previously, and you're given rewards for battling certain trainers throughout the game. So not only when you defeat the ending boss or the Pokemon League or whatever is the ending, that's not the ending anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, there's more. And now with the Nintendo Switch, they have DLC content that they bring out. Like in Sword and Shield, there was 2 different islands that you can go to complete new tasks to extend the game. It was fucking awesome.
That's not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Well, because it got kind of old just spamming the Elite Four to level up the 6 Pokemon in your party.
So, yes, so they definitely help you out, and I'm glad they did. And they just had a Pokemon, it's called a Pokemon Presents today, and they are remaking Diamond and Pearl into a Nintendo Switch version. And let's see. And then they got one called Pokemon Legends Arceus, which takes place like maybe it takes place in the olden days when Pokemon was very new. Like they just came out with the invention of the Pokeballs, and you can battle your Pokemon, or you can sneak up behind a Pokemon and throw a Pokeball and hope to catch it. And a wild Pokemon can chase you if you don't have any Pokemon on you. And it's a nice like idea that they have, and I'm really stoked to playing that game.
Yeah, it sounds really well thought out.
It sounds like it, and they gave a nice little. You have to watch the preview, but people are here to listen to us talk about this episode. Let's go ahead and continue. So it's at this point where Ash is like, well, shit, I can get in here and battle. So Ash goes in and he sends out Pikachu onto the battlefield, but Oshawott comes out of the Pokeball.
Yeah, I really liked this exchange because obviously Oshawott is still kind of in the like wanting to prove itself stage.
Yes.
Pardon me. So it kind of feels like we were going to have like a Psyduck situation on our hands, and Oshawott sees the
Evolved
Pokemon,
form.
yeah, sees its evolved form, and turns Pikachu towards the battle and is like, you can take this one for me."
I don't feel like battling anymore.
I don't want to fight my brother.
So it's Pikachu versus Duat, and Ash calls back Oshawott into the Pokeball because Oshawott doesn't want to battle anymore. So
And Pikachu uses Thunderbolt. Duat dodges,
yes,
and then Ash calls for Iron Tail and smacks the mess out of Duat.
but Duat that's a strong Duat because Duat got right back up.
He got right back up, dodges a Volt Tackle, and Pikachu runs right into the daggum wall.
I felt so bad. Like I think Pikachu was done at that instance, and then got freaking
Razor shelled.
Yeah, razor shelled, and that was it. I was like, well, damn. And then, of course, to ruin the fun that we're having in this episode, we go outside to Team Rocket.
Almost like they're like, all right, look, they were an afterthought last episode. we gotta fix that.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I was really enjoying that battle before Team Rocket came into the mix. I'm like, oh, we're actually getting a nice clean battle. Pikachu just ran into the wall and just got freaking smacked, and then they just bring me to a whole low with Team Rocket.
Yeah, and Pikachu is not really having the best of luck in the region so far.
No. So Team Rocket is breaking into this battle arena from the back door, and I want to take a look at this scene. So Team Rocket opens the door, and there's a black
a shadowy figure.
Yeah, a shadowy figure, and it's clear as day that it's a Tepig, but Tepig kind of jumps behind the box where you can only see the top of its head. So it looks like a different Pokemon. And it's at this point that Tepig jumps in James' face, scares the daylights out of him, and then hops out of the building, and Team Rocket then steps out, and the alarm goes off because they just set off the alarm for breaking in.
And because the alarm got tripped, Ash's battle has to stop because, we're not sure at what level the threat is, so they call everything off and they say we got to focus on this potential breach.
Yes. So we come to find out that there's been a breach in the security system for quite some time, so they had to set up some cameras. So now they're going back to go and check the cameras.
Yeah, because one of the assistants comes out and says, "Oh, it looks like the mystery Pokemon is back." So, like you said, they're aware that this is a problem.
Yes.
And they say, "Oh, we get another shot to take a look." And Ash and Iris are hyped because they're kids and they don't know any better.
So they go back and they're checking the footage, and in the footage they see Team Rocket, and they're like, "Oh, it's Ash and Iris." They're like, "Oh, it's just Team Rocket. They're these bad guys that basically follow us, and they like to steal people's Pokemon and different items away from them." And then one of the other assistants is like, that's not all the video caught. It caught this as well. And then he slows the video down, and it's like a small black figure that's flying through the camera at the speed of light. Like the camera couldn't even keep up with it because it was going so quick. Doug?
Yeah, they're like playing like super slow-mo rewind, and they freeze it, and it's just a black blur just in mid-jump. And they're completely kind of baffled. They have an idea what it might be, but it's kind of outside of the realm of possibility.
Yes. So Ash puts his Pokédex, pulls open his Pokédex, and he's like, okay, well, what? Oh, it could be this. And he pulls up an Umbreon, the dark evolved form of Eevee, which everybody takes and they just start running with.
One of my favorites. I mean, I can't really say with too much certainty because I don't have an opinion on the newer forms. But at the time when Umbreon and Espeon came out, I was definitely Umbreon.
Oh, you were?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So it's at this point that they, like I said, everyone starts running with it. They're like, oh, if we saw an Umbreon out here in the Unova region, that's a rare Pokemon. All right, everybody leave out and go and find this Umbreon. So they all raced out, and the next scene that we see, they're taking rakes to bushes, which I think is kind of a mean way to find.
It's kind of I don't know how mean it is, but it's shitty as all get out.
Exactly. And
we're just gonna poke this bush and see what pops out.
So they're poking the bushes with rakes, and some of them are just looking into it, and they're just trying to find this Umbreon. But then off in the corner, we see Team Rocket looking around the building because they're just trying to get out of there now because their cover is blown. So now that their cover is blown, they need to find a way to get out of there until all the suspicion goes away. So what is their brilliant plan, Doug?
Well, Jesse's brilliant plan is to paint Meowth to look like Umbreon. Pardon me, to lead the battle arena employees on a wild
goose chase.
Well, I was going to say that, or I was going to say a wild Umbreon chase, but I didn't care for myself, so I stopped. But yeah, basically to divert the attention so that Jesse and James can make a clean break, and then Meowth can figure it out from there.
So it's at that point after they paint Meowth to look like an Umbreon. Freaking Meowth just goes over and he's like, "Hey, I'm what you're looking for," and then just starts running away and diverts everybody to go and start chasing him.
And everybody drops their rakes. I mean, for what it's worth.
Yes.
So, I mean, what are you going to do when you corner that Umbreon? Well, you don't have any rakes to hit it with.
Exactly. They weren't thinking, Doug. They were not thinking.
They were blinded by the Umbreon.
So they think they see Umbreon and they start chasing, but Ash and Iris have different plans. They put out Pokemon food around the building to try to lure whatever Pokemon this is back over to them.
Which is not a bad plan either.
No.
Quite frankly, it's a little more humane.
But I mean, I'm thinking at that point, you can get any Pokemon to come out.
Well, and really, Ash shouldn't be critical because he's looking for Unova region Pokemon. He's just trying to catch them.
Yes. So, but Ash runs away and he tells Oshawott and Pikachu to keep a lookout for any suspicious Pokemon that might come by to come eating this. But Oshawott, and I must have given him too much praise in the last episode as being smart, because as soon as Ash runs away, Oshawott turns his back to Pikachu, walks inside of the building, and just starts eating all of the food that they were leaving out for this mysterious Pokemon.
He's housing that kibble, man.
And Pikachu is going over to shaking him. He's like, stop eating this food. This food is not for you. And Oshawott goes over and with the flick of its wrist, picks up Pikachu, throws Pikachu into a box, and a bunch of heavy boxes come down, 6 boxes in one pan comes down and hits Pikachu in the head, knocking Pikachu clear out. He is down for the count.
Yeah, and once again, I would like to say that Pikachu was yeeted by Oshawott into the boxes and gets completely covered by the last one to fall. And Oshawott looks over his shoulder and goes, and sits down and just starts going ham on the kibble again.
And for the second week in a row, you must have been doing more than backflips this week that they got Tepig as the Who's That Pokemon.
Oh, bro, it's a streak now. I don't know what next week is, but it's a streak right now.
Next week they're gonna have Mr. Mime.
Shit. If they have Mr. Mime, I quit.
So it's at this point that Ash looks like Ash is now around the building from where he laid out the food where Pikachu and Oshawott are looking. And he's looking over a bush and he sees Tepig come over and trying to eat the food, but can't.
He can't, and we get a head-on shot of Tepig, and we see that it's filthy, and it's got a bit of rope tied around its snout,
yes,
making it unable to eat. And just kind of, I mean, all we were missing here was that goddamn Sarah McLachlan song.
Which song?
Fucking Arms of the Angel.
Oh shit. Okay.
Hate that one because it's that commercial with the dogs in the cages and shit. The dogs and cats in cages and shit.
Yeah, and it's sad.
Fucking hate that.
And I don't. Why does Ash need to pull out Dexter to find out? Didn't he just see like 2 days prior to this happening a Tepig in Professor Juniper's office?
He didn't hold Dexter up because he didn't have a Pokédex.
Yeah, but he looked at it and was like, yeah, that's a fire type because it sneezed.
He has no short-term memory. He plays too much video games.
But we do find out from Dexter that Tepig is a fire type Pokemon, but when its allergies are acting up, it puffs out smoke.
Right.
So that was a nice.
Which means that the one at Uniper's lab was healthy because we got a little bit of Ember.
Yes. So Ash puts 2 and 2 together that you only get Tepig if you're a brand new trainer out here in the Unova region. So he needs to go out and help this Pokemon. But he looks at it. He's like, you're skinny. You're dirty. And we thought you were Umbreon. And Tepig sitting there trying to get the rope from around its snout because it can't open its mouth. But it can't do it. So Ash walks over to try to help it, and Tepig's not having any of it.
No, because it's a well, and we find out later what's up with Tepig, but safe to say, without getting about 5 minutes ahead of ourselves, this poor little Tepig has some trust issues.
Yes. But Tepig is running, and it finally, I mean, it gets cornered, and Tepig, he corners himself like by a brick wall, and Ash just runs over to Tepig and gets down, starts rubbing its back, picks it up. Tepig is not having any of it, and it's just squirming like a newborn baby. Just no, put me down.
How many babies you try to pick up?
Shut up. Well, okay, not a newborn baby, but it's like my damn daughter when you want to when you telling her no, it's not no, it's yes, stop it, put me down.
It's yes, and you got to catch me.
Yes. Bro, okay, side note. I had no idea that my daughter knew how to open the chocolate chip cookies. Like, she came over to me and patted me on my leg and was like, "Daddy, cookie." And I was like, "No, you're not getting any cookies."
Stephanie comes around the corner. Don't give her. No.
And Adrian just looked at me, and she gave me like the most bland look, like, "Did you just tell me no?" So she walks into the kitchen. And I'm just watching her because I was like, I know she's not about to go. And she grabs the cookies, and she just looks at me, and I'm looking at her, and I was like, "No." And she opens the cookies. And I was like, "You know how to open that?" And I was like, "No." And then she takes the cookie out and she bites it. And then I was like, "Give me the cookie." And then she just goes and runs away, and she drops the rest of the cookies on the floor. And I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Shouldn't have.
Well, the cookies didn't fall out of the Chips Ahoy container, but she dropped the container thing on the floor. But
gotcha.
But she ran. She ate that cookie.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
and my wife was just sitting there just laughing. She's like, "Yeah." She said, "F you. I'm going to eat this cookie. I asked you for a cookie. I was trying to be nice." But okay.
Just trying to be nice. So yeah, Ash kind of comes eye to eye with this Tepig, and Tepig is like, gives it a face full of soot. And Ash is like, "I'm serious. I wasn't going to hurt you." And it's at that point Tepig's like, "Oh, well, all right then," and just kind of lets its guard down a little more. And Ash is working his little heart out to try to get the rope off of Tepig's snout, and apparently he does it.
Yeah,
we don't see it.
But he gets it off, and then Iris sits down some of the pellets of food that it was trying to eat like 5 minutes ago, and Tepig is just going to town, and she's mesmerized.
If you'll pardon the pun, Tepig is going ham on the food.
But it's at this moment, Iris is looking over at Ash, and I think she's starting to have a different type of feeling towards Ash and his love for Pokemon. She's starting to see this.
Yeah, she's starting to see that Ash kind of has a pure heart. And I mean, it's not all about, battling and catching and just getting badges and moving on. Like, he actually gives a shit about helping Pokemon, even if it's just a random, we're to assume up to this point, wild Tepig.
Yes. So at this point, we switch scenes and we go back to the Battle Club owner and his little minions. His associates, they are chasing Meowth down this road, who is now painted like an Umbreon. And Meowth is sitting here. He finally gets cornered like Tepig was. But, of course, Meowth can talk. So Meowth walks over to the owner. And he goes, I'm not an Umbreon. I'm a Meowth, and wipes off some of the paint and goes, I'm sorry for fooling you guys. I'm just going to take off now. And the guy's like, oh, it's just a damn Meowth.
Just a damn talking meow.
And his associate was like, wait a minute, but that's a talking Meowth in the Unova region. Doesn't that still make it rare? And they're like, yeah. And then they start chasing after him again.
Well, and apparently this would have been the first Umbreon in the Unova region, so they were like over the moon, and they were like, we're going to end up in history textbooks, and you know.
Yes.
And, like you said, but then we have the quick flash of, wait, it's still a talking Meow.
Exactly. But all right, so Doug, go over this next thing, because I call Team Rocket complete idiots in this next thing, because this was the easiest thing that they could have easily have done.
Yes. So Team Rocket pokes their head in where Oshawott and Pikachu were, and they don't see anything. So Jesse is going to kind of keep watch, and James is going to go in there and kind of poke around, see what he can find. And he's picking up the boxes that fell on Pikachu, and it's just empty, and he's just a bunch of empty boxes, and just empty boxes and boxes with the food. And then he sees the box that is on Pikachu, and he picks it up, and Pikachu's out cold because he got hit with a frying pan. Let's not forget that.
Yes.
And
Oshawott is just sleeping from being full from all this food over in the corner.
Right. Not really hiding itself, just off in the distance. And Team Rocket's a little confused. They're like, okay, well, this is clearly the Twerp's Pikachu because it's the only Pikachu in the region. But why is it out cold in a box? Which is a fair question, because they have never not seen Pikachu without Ash unless they've attempted to steal Pikachu.
Exactly. So they have a knocked out Pikachu, clear as day, and they go in, obviously behind the scenes. They go and they steal Pikachu, but Oshawott is watching all of this from a distance.
And, you know, anybody that's watching this is kind of writing off Oshawott as somebody that was trying to usurp Pikachu's perch on top of Ash's shoulder. Oshawott is clearly being a team player because he knows that he's got to do something or tell somebody what's going on here. He's not, you know, like sitting back, rubbing his hands, going, finally I get rid of that little rat.
Yeah.
And then we go back to Iris and Ash, and Tepig is asleep on Ash's shoulder.
And it's at this point where they explain that Tepig is the Umbreon that they're looking for. He had his snout was all wrapped up with with rope, and this is what has been going around in your little warehouse. And then the owner has a flashback. He's like, wait a minute, I know that Tepig. And he's like, the owner was here battling, and Tepig lost the battle. And when he lost the battle, the owner tied him up and was like, okay, I can't have a weak Pokemon anymore, so I'm just going to leave you here. And that the owner of the Pokemon abandoned this Tepig. There must be something in the Japanese world, because I'm having full blown flashbacks to Charmander.
Yeah, I was wondering if the Tepig's trainer was like Damien Jr. or something.
Yeah, for real. But we find out that when Tepig got loose from being tied to a post, that it must have accidentally gotten part of the rope around its snout when it was trying to get out, which is what tied its mouth shut.
And he's been running around ever since trying to look for its trainer.
Yes.
And, you know, obviously depending on how long it's had the rope around its snout, would explain the weight loss.
Exactly. So we go straight from that to Team Rocket walking casually around the building. Jessie has Pikachu in a little
Sack
over her shoulder. James is carrying the briefcase, and and Ash is like, Team Rocket, what are you doing here? What are you guys trying to steal? And they just casually, because they know they got Pikachu, they're like, oh, we're not even in the stealing game this week. We're just here walking around. So toodaloo, and then Pikachu makes a noise in the sack.
And Ash goes, "Who's that in that bag?" Duh.
Oshawa jumps from around the corner and goes, Oshawa. And Ash is like, that's Pikachu. We need to go and help it.
Then we get another rendition of this disjointed intro. And then we get the final commercial break. And then we're having a showdown between the God, what's it called?
What?
Battle Club. The Battle Club and Team Rocket, basically.
Yes. So it's at this point where Ash sends Oshawott out to do water gun to go and retrieve Pikachu, but Meowth clicks a button from inside of this briefcase, and they have a hologram little ball thing that just forms around them and just levitates them into the air.
Technology has evolved a little bit.
I got images of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when that happened. Think of the elevator at the end of that movie.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So Ash starts running after after Team Rocket, even though Team Rocket's in the air, and then completely slips on Oshawott's water gun attempt that's on the ground.
And then Tepig gets out of Ash's arms and wants to help. And Ash sends Tepig out with an ember.
Yes.
And the ember just blows the mess out of this air bubble. So how strong really was it?
It wasn't that strong at all. And Pikachu was in the sack and just starts flying out of the air. And of course, we get the classic Ash catches Pikachu.
And we see out of the cloud that was the bubble, we see Team Rocket flying towards the sun on hang gliders.
And they got away. But they didn't go blasting off this week, Doug.
They didn't go blasting off. They sailed away on their own accord.
Yeah. So it's at this point where Iris walks over to Pig and congratulates him and calls Tepig a nice little cutie and starts pinching its cheeks.
She's just, I don't know what the deal is. She's poking at Oshawott and she was poking at Pikachu. And
she wants Tepig. She thinks she can come over and just go. Didn't she tell Ash you can't just walk up and just snag Pokemon, even though that's what she's trying to do week in and week out?
Yup.
And Tepig is like, nah, I don't want to be with you. I want to be with Ash.
Be with the fella in the hat.
No, he's not wearing a hat right now.
Not yet.
But the Battle Club owner walks over and goes, he sees a great trainer in Ash and he wants to be with Ash.
After all he's been through, yeah.
Yeah. So how does Ash get... Okay, please enlighten me. So when you abandon your Pokemon, you take your Pokemon and you bring it out of its Pokeball and you say, you're no longer my Pokemon anymore. I'm leaving. So when you walk away, that gives anybody else at that point ownership to be able to capture your Pokemon.
We had the same debate with Charmander.
I just don't get what classifies and what will make a Pokeball open if another Pokemon is registered to it.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't know. I mean, at least with Oshawott, they explained that this was the Oshawott that escaped from Juniper's lab.
Yeah,
and it had a specific Pokeball.
But I'm sure this Tepig had one too. But okay,
I don't know. There's only 2 minutes left in the episode. I don't know what to tell you.
So, but yeah, we let's see. Pikachu gets asked by Ask, what were you doing inside of that box? And Pikachu explains that it got hit on the head. And Ash has no idea what Pikachu is talking about.
He can tell that he's saying something that he cares about, but he just can't make heads or tails of it.
And then we get the closing scene with the narrator, but it's not the official closing scene because we actually get a nice Team Rocket ending. Doug, you want to go over this ending?
Yes, we get a little bit of what you might. Well, it's not quite post credits because we haven't seen the credits, but we get a Giovanni on the screen talking to Team Rocket, saying they have their next assignment in
Strident City.
In Strident City, which obviously was where we're heading, and there's an area that needs to be investigated. This is the last line of the episode.
Yes. So, and Team Rocket is there, and that's where we're headed. So I think that's what's going to happen next week, Doug.
I would hope so.
I would hope so, too.
Otherwise, we're heading towards 20 minutes of filler.
It better not be. But, all right, that's this week's episode. You ready to get on into our next segment, Doug?
I believe so.
All right. I mean, it's late enough. It's 12:06. So you were right. Around 12 o'clock. All right. So I have another Chilling Reign Pokemon booster pack, everybody. Let's go ahead and get this pack opened. Code and everything will be on the Instagram, everybody. Doug, my man, what is the energy card I'm about to look at right now?
I'm going to take a complete shot in the dark and say Psychic.
It's a Lightning.
Ah, poop.
So, all right. So I have a Lightning, a Dyna Tree Hill, Justify Gloves, Lucky Energy. What is a Lucky Energy? It says, as long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides a normal energy. If the Pokemon is attacked to as an active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, even if it's knocked out, draw a card. Oh, okay, cool. I got a Furfro, Venipede, a Spheal, a Crabrawler, a Golett, a Reverse Hollow Tsarina. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I have a regular Hollow Frostless. So, all right. They're decent. It's not, I would call this more of a dud pack this week. But yeah, I will post a snapshot of this. I'm sure the code's already used by the time you're listening to this as of right now, but I will put the code in the photograph, and first one that gets it gets it. So, all right. Dougie, my man, I think that's it for this week and this night.
Well, it's it for me. I don't know what you're going to do.
I'm about to go watch AEW. We're either going to be happy or laughing next week because me and you and a couple of our friends and my family, we're going to the United Center this Friday to watch AEW The First Dance with the anticipation that CM Punk is returning to professional wrestling, Doug.
I'm with every passing day, I'm getting closer to saying, let him not show up.
So we will see it. I'm sure we'll have something to talk about next week. I mean, I'm sure some of our audience is wrestling fans and knows what we're talking about. So I'll just go ahead and throw that out there. But do you have anything else to say this week, Doug?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, then say your
3.5.
3.5. Oh, I didn't ask you. Yes. Okay. So you give it 3.5 stars. Yeah. I'll go ahead and I'm gonna give it a half a star less, but I'll go ahead and give it 3 stars this week. Just because Team Rocket kind of ruined a couple of the battles that could have been a lot better. So I'm just gonna give it a 3 star.
Very true.
So, all right, everybody. Well, have a good night, Doug. Say goodbye, Doug.
Bye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you that next week is a gym battle, so you don't want to miss it. It's called Triple Leaders Team Threats. Have a good night, everyone.